Hi, everybody. Welcome to No Story is Sacred. If you've never listened before, basically, we're 4 siblings who grew up talking about the art of storytelling. Now that we're adults, we're still talking about it, and we're inviting you to join the conversation. I'm Kat, and sometimes I cosplay as an author.
I'm Brendan, and unlike you jerks, I actually have a patent in robotics, so
shit.
boom.
Ooh.
I could make the creepy doll.
I'm Pippin, and my facial reactions are authentic.
Oh, shit.
Fake.
Wow!
Turing
I
test
was
that
programmed
shit.
properly.
Were you?
Listen, that's what it's about. That's what you gotta program them properly, am I right?
Yep.
Gotta calibrate robots.
And I'm Alex, and I have an NDA.
Ooh. Oh, shit.
We didn't think this ahead of time.
Womp womp. When do we ever?
Oh.
So rarely.
No, this wouldn't be covered.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but it's a funny line, though.
Yeah, it's a funny line. Yeah.
It's a funny line. And you
Yeah.
know
You
what?
never know where we'll take
We'll
this.
accept that. Yeah, who knows? Who knows what I was secretly writing about?
Yeah.
And then you'll find out very shortly. Yeah, honestly, I'm not that good at hiding it. So, today, we're talking about an original short story by me, titled Partial Transcript Shell Game. If you want specific content warnings about things we may talk about, check out the show notes on nostoryissacred.com, but I will say that there are horror elements in this.
Yeah, noticed.
Elements, Pippin.
Scene.
The implications of horror.
See, it's the implication.
Exactly. And some bodily autonomy stuff, probably. I don't know. Eventually that's gonna come. We're trying to talk about robotics, so I'm gonna guarantee bodily autonomy is gonna come in. Watch that not happen. Okay. So this is a real short story that I really wrote not for this podcast. I know. Shocking, but true. I've sent it out multiple times, and it has been rejected every time. But for one of those, I had to write a brief synopsis for a market that subsequently rejected it. So I might as well share it here. An interview with a Barnum-like roboticist caught up in a criminal suit regarding the realistic reactions of his holistic robot companion takes a dark turn as the results of his sleight of hand come back to haunt him. So there you go.
So you know how sometimes we complain that the synopsis doesn't quite match the story?
Uh-huh.
I think it applies here too.
I
Yep.
know, because it sounds like a ghost, right?
Yeah.
There's no fucking ghost in the
There's no
story, you
ghost.
guys. There's no ghost.
Also, the character, not charming enough to be Barnum.
No.
Well, I didn't want to say Trump-like.
Oh. A grifter.
Yeah,
A
he's a grifter.
roboticist. Yeah.
I'm not even sure he's a roboticist. I think he's a grifter.
A grifter roboticist. Yeah.
A Musk
Yeah.
type.
Oh. Silicon Valley
burn on
bro.
Musk.
Oh, I would say more, less Musk, because I think, weirdly, Musk is more charming than this character. But he is, a Silicon bro.
Yeah, tech bro.
Silicon tech bro. Silicon libertarian tech bro, if you want to get
Ugh.
really, really into it. But, as you guys know, but the audience doesn't, this is it's a dialogue only. It is set up as a transcript. It starts in medias res, presumably I say presumably, I'm the one who fucking wrote it. It starts in the middle of, clearly someone has pressed play on a recorder. And it's an interview between, presumably, a podcast. That's how it's being described. And this guy who's busy being under house arrest while he's waiting for a civil suit or a criminal suit rather, to, play
Work its
out.
way. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's very clear that, the interviewer starts off as a, your average, podcast interviewer. And the roboticist, the grifter, is very interested in portraying his own side of the story, where he is definitely not at fault for a lot of things. In particular, so there's this robot. It's the holistic robot companion, named Holly for short. And it it works. Frankly, it's a dumb robot that it could absolutely be on the market right now. And I'm surprised if it isn't. That
kind of is.
Yeah. The idea being that, it's just a companion bot. It's not intended to be medical in any way, but it's been sold as medical. It theoretically will respond accurately to emotional cues from the human it's interacting with. Our grifter is being sued because, and this is where shell game comes in. Do you guys know what a shell game is?
Yeah, yes. 3-card Monty.
Yeah, 3-card Monty.
It's 3-card Monty, Find
Watch
the Lady. Yep. So for the audience, definitely look it up. Penn and Teller have an excellent breakdown of it, where they use clear plastic cups, which is amazing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But the idea is, find the pea under the shell. And then you swim around really quickly, and no matter which shell you pick, it is never the one that has the pea, because it's a fucking con. That's the idea. It's also illegal in California. It's larceny by trick, which is a great name. Anyway, so the company that he licensed this robot to, for mass manufacture, says that the robot that they saw is not the robot plans or design that was delivered to them. They're saying that there was a human involved that was actually doing all the emotional responses. And the reason this matters is because one of these Hollies, built off of the designs that they received versus the ones that, they think were shown to them, may or may not have led to somebody burning down an apartment building.
It happens.
And so the story starts off with, this sort of, it's intended to be serial-like. What? You're finding out a little bit more about why why is this a criminal instead of a civil, etc. Like, who's at fault for this and so on. And it kind of stopped there originally, where, it's just like, surprise, this is what I'm doing. We'll find out how it ends up. And I sent it out. And, quite rightly, some of the feedback I received was, this person seems unlikable. Why are we reading it? Why, this, and to be fair, this could also, I don't know if he's so unlikable that it's not, that it's uncomfortable. I don't know if it was uncomfortable because he does sound an awful lot like the shenanigans of certain ex-presidents. And you know what? If you have to hear that all the time in the news, why do you want to read about it too? So I took it back. I tooled it a little bit. I added more of the horror element. I made the podcaster a character. In fact, he is the character. He is, in disguise, the person who burned down the apartment building. Woo! He has shown up to fix the grifter, just like he fixed the robot so that it was accurate. Because it was broken. And why would you sell a broken robot? That's just really mean. And so he fixed Holly, and Holly really helped him figure out how to fix the grifter as well. And so step one, obviously, was burning down that building. Oh, and anyway, so at the end of the story is that, of course I'm going to spoil this because that's why we're here. The end of the story is, that, the grifter has caught on, by this point. And it ends with the podcaster, Firestarter, saying, listen, I'm here now. People's faces should match their insides. And you should clearly be feeling sorry for what you've done, so I'm going to fix your face until it matches. The end.
It's not a horror, Pippin. It'll be fine.
It is just dialogue. It's the implications. You don't know what he meant, Pippin. You're assuming.
So, a couple of things as I'm thinking about it. I think one of the things I'd tweak is that there's a little bit of a mental discontinuity I have here with the motivations of our podcast host or murderer, whatever.
What's the difference?
With his goal being, I want to fix people just like Holly tells me to, and just lighting an apartment building on fire. I'm thinking, it could be kind of a bit, go full gruesome here. We could have just a series of murders in a rather, not a huge apartment building, but like big enough to be a huge deal. And it was, it made the national news. It was gruesome. No survivors. Make
sure Pippin really can't read this story.
Thanks.
People's faces ripped off, that kind of thing.
I do like that.
Because, again, the podcast host, he's probably following the instructions of this Holly robot here to fix people.
Listen, she was broken, and now you gotta fix people, obviously.
And here's a question I was having as I was also reading it. Is the Holly robot that was talking to the podcaster, is that just delusion in the podcaster's mind, or is that an actual, like, evil AI thing?
Oh, no, it's totally a delusion.
Perfect.
And from my point of view, that's because part of, so.
Well,
go on.
Well, because one thing that came up also repeatedly in the story is you mentioned the Kuleshov effect, which is a well-known thing in filmmaking where you can kind of project emotions and reactions onto like people, characters in a movie by just providing surrounding context. So like, if you show like a man staring directly at the camera and then again, like you mentioned in the story, just show food, it's like, he must be hungry. He's looking at food. Aha. But then if you show Kermit the Frog next, it's like, he's ready for some whimsical child entertainment. Good for him.
A variant of this is actually how Nathan Fillion described how he did the acting for when he was on soap operas. And he figured out that he could get the faces right if he thought to himself, oh no, I left the stove on. Did I leave the stove on? I didn't leave the stove on. And that would fit whatever was necessary for the scene. And there's also a famous story about Humphrey Bogart. Like, a director's like, okay, you're standing here and you're thinking about this. I need you to do that because the previous take was all wrong. And Humphrey Bogart's like, I'm going to think about my sandwich. And the director's like, perfect. Because the director was the one who was giving the whatever.
This is also just an example of why directors trying to pull shit to get actors to respond authentically or whatever is bullshit.
Yeah.
Because you should just trust your actors to act and not traumatize them for a shot
or just
that does not
fix
matter.
Like the fucking context because the audience will do it for you.
It's true.
That's why editing's a thing, people. Like film editing.
It's why you get Oscars for it.
What?
Yeah, it's true.
I had 2 problems with it.
That makes it, oh shit.
Like for me, the reason why he seemed unlikable is that his dialogue was just weirdly paced.
Really? Talk to me about that.
So, here's the thing. It sounds a lot like technobabble. And when read, it just kind of, when you read techbabble, it kind of all falls apart.
Huh.
Like, because they're saying as much shit as possible as fast as they can.
Very true. And I mean, that might have been part of the response to that, the rejection I got.
Yeah. But like, when you read it, like, you go, why are you suddenly, ending the sentence with the lawsuit? You're talking about this first. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, I suddenly can't remember what specific examples, but and the other part is, what is the actual fault for what is essentially a Furby?
The fault in this case is that he has misrepresented an item. He was selling it as something that had the genuine ability to read and accurately respond to humans. It's an AI. A dumb one, but one that's there. And so that would be not a huge problem, except that there's another case going on with the larger company that licensed his work. And they're being sued because of the fire. And people are blaming the robot. And so they're going through all their shit and being like, wait a second. We think that actually this can't be our fault. We were sold, we were larceny by trick. We were sold a bill of goods. We were shown one thing and provided another. And therefore it's not our fault. It's his fault. So the grifter is trying to hold his head above water, being like, can't prove it's my fault. Can't prove that what I gave you is not exactly what you saw.
The best defense.
Right? That's why he goes into, like, describing the Kuleshov effect. He's like, this is exactly how the robot works. But it's y'all who decided in that meeting that meant something. Not my fault you did that. And then he goes on to say, and my paperwork all says do not use this as medical equipment. My paperwork says XYZ. I don't know what you guys said, but clearly it's definitely your fault that somebody had a robot and burned down the building.
So
yeah, but also it still sounds like you're blaming a crystal therapy for someone
yes,
for someone driving into a crowd.
Also, yes, absolutely.
The disconnect for me is one doesn't follow the other.
I don't understand. Because for me, there's a litigious aspect, like, go on, Pip.
If I may. Alex, if I understand the issue you're having correctly, the robot itself is just a nonsense thing. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Was I talking to you?
Sorry. Go on. Teach me to participate.
So, anyone trying to blame the robot for other people's actions doesn't read correctly. Is that correct?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it is the podcast host who did those things.
You're correct, and that's why the lawsuit would probably eventually be thrown out or settled out of court.
Yep. Oh, though I should say, I am approaching this from I know it's nonsense, because I wrote it. But there is, part of what's going to be happening is that there's going to be all these experts being like, well, actually, is it AI? Was it an evil robot? And no, it's not. But I know that. I'm not sure that the people in the universe know that. And the grifter is explaining his point of view, where he's also saying, no, it's a Furby. So that's why you should throw this out. Sorry, go on.
So, I feel like I'd like to see some ad copy for for Holly, for this holistic companion. Because, even in a lot of horror, the person who's about to get brutally murdered usually has done something TM, and this really just seems he made a Furby. And, he's talking a lot, and isn't likable, but...
Oh, I had a little brainstorm that we could also work in some social commentary while we're at it.
I haven't said my piece yet, though.
Or
I want Alex to finish his. And then I'll say mine.
So, I can't really, I can't get into it, and I can't feel a sense of catharsis from it.
Okay. To be fair, the only thing I'll point out at this stage is that horror sometimes does not have catharsis.
Well,
That's kind of but I see what you're saying.
When it's not catharsis, it's usually something else. But I cannot think of the term right now.
Punishing the wicked or whatever. Sometimes.
Oh, I see. Yeah, okay, I could see that actually.
And this time it's just punishing a guy who's kind of desperate because he got a lawsuit. He's getting wrapped up in a frivolous lawsuit.
Although, I do try to imply that, no, he did totally do a bait and switch. Because he's an asshole. But that's not really speaking to your thing.
Well, Pip has her thing.
Pip.
Yeah. So, here's the thing. There is not enough there. You get to an ending and you haven't earned it.
Damn it. See, that keeps happening with this story.
Your character is not enough of an asshole to get the ending that he is getting.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Instead, he's just kind of a jerk. So he is neither likable nor sympathetic.
Shit. I went too far.
And we don't get the horror thing of the wicked being punished, or rules being broke. We don't know what rules were broken.
Yeah, okay.
And there isn't enough foreshadowing. You don't go back to the rest of the transcript and go like, oh no, I see that it was always going to happen. Instead of it was a jerk monologuing. And at the end, the interviewers are all like, oh, by the way, I'm going to kill you now.
Yeah, also the interviewer kind of seems like came out of nowhere.
Very passive interviewer. I think one thing you should lean into hard is the title. It should read like a shell game where it's like, is this guy a murderer? Who knows? Okay, no, he's just irresponsible. Okay, cool. Is a former CEO ethically wrong? No. And then we get the final reveal. The P is the podcast host.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like, did the robot actually do it? Is he actually going to get murdered by Holly? Is he actually secretly a Holly?
That is one of the angles I was kind of, as I was reading, it's like, okay, is it going to be like a evil robot reveal? No, that's part of the shell game. The robot is just a dumb robot. And maybe that is something we can build towards with dialogue between our grifter and the podcast host, where we kind of slowly and surely reveal that, yeah, this is 100% a hoax. But I was thinking if we wanted to have a little bit more like seeding how this Holly could inspire somebody to do arson or gruesome murders as he tries to reconfigure people's faces.
As one does.
I'm thinking a lot of doohickeys nowadays, like if I was making a Furby today, we have the internet. If I was wildly irresponsible, I'd tie it to something similar to the YouTube algorithm. And you know what? Don't you want to have people engage with Holly more and more? So it doesn't actually
randomize.
It doesn't actually randomize. It follows an engagement algorithm, and we all know where that goes. So it's not true AI. It's never true AI, and that's the grift that he's actually having to come and cop to. He's just making something arguably worse.
It's the Kuleshov effect on steroids.
Yes.
Yeah. And also I'd like to, let's see, I'd like to go, oh no, I'm sorry, I'll admit that it ends in gruesome murder.
Ooh.
Actually being like, I'll repent, and then be like, it's too late actually. You've already sinned, now you're dead. Like that.
Like you've repented, but now you must atone.
Oh. Well, the clearest concept of horror.
In Cat's defense, I do like I'm going to make your face match who you are. That I liked.
Thank you.
It just,
I didn't earn it, is what you're saying. Yeah. See, okay. Can I actually tell you guys for a moment the value of this to me?
Yeah.
Aside from, like, and hopefully the audience as well. So I told you right at the start, right at the top, that I had a notion of what my problem was. I still think my notion is correct, but it is markedly different from all y'all's also correct one.
Can I add something else before you go?
Oh yeah, let's see whether or not you actually, did you get me?
I have no clue.
Let's find out.
Do you want to say that you were going for serial and you did not hit it?
I was actually going for like criminal, but go on. I was going for the podcaster is in the background, and then and the story is really the interviewee.
Still kind of missed it.
Yeah.
Also, and this is just a pure technical thing. I didn't like how it was set up as Q&A because it's not actually question and answer.
Yep.
Originally it was, you fuckers.
Is it now?
It's not, and every editor sees it for the first goddamn time. And reader. Fuck. Yep.
Yeah. Also just for, emotional dissonance, or whatever the term is just have, like, at the end of the thing, it go into, this is the end, here's the end of the podcast voice credits.
I was trying to kind of imply that he's like, this part of the ruse is over.
Yeah.
Like, this partial transcript is actually, like, perhaps what is showing up in court later, etc. You know, this was an attempt to just get in the house because, you know, now it's time to be ripping off some faces.
Because here's the fun thing. Like, he could be, like, we know at the end of the story that it was a ruse, it's a fake podcast host, but, like, the grifter guy, he's an asshole. We can all agree on that, right?
Yeah.
He only knows about this podcast by name recognition only. He doesn't know anything. He never listened to a single episode. And probably our fake podcast host knows this because he's probably done the full psychological profile and do whatever. Yeah. So he just doesn't know anything about the actual host he's talking with. So he's assuming that it's just like, this relatively, you know, well-known tech podcast host. Cool. Hey, they're not celebrities. They talk about tech.
Hell yeah.
So like he's feeling comfortable as talking. And I think one thing you could also play up is that I think a grifter type of, trait is to engage the person he's talking with to try and get them on his side.
That's true. See, that again, that's where, like, my whole, like, kind of back of the head Trump vibe goes against that.
Yeah.
And I think if I leaned further into straight up grifter, that would work better.
Yeah. Like, we want to have Sophie, but we want them murdered.
Yeah. Let's murder the Sophie.
And they want to make you their friend. And so that involves getting conversation going. So it's
asking questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I want his goal, right, in this interview is to have somebody out there promoting him and his new product that he's been working on. Like, that was one of the other things at the very end there.
Yeah. Well, and also putting out his side of the story, again, trying to get the, you know, public sympathy, get the news going, you know, et cetera and so forth. Pointing out it is just a fucking Furby, so he shouldn't be involved, et cetera.
Yeah. So he wants to have the podcast host agree, like, nah, it's not your fault. Yeah, it's just a Furby, but the podcast host does not want to admit it's just a Furby. The Furby told me to kill people. Hey.
Furby wants me to set fires.
Fire.
So his goal is to have the podcast host, who's a surrogate for the world at large, to agree with him that this is a totally frivolous lawsuit. By the way, buy my next stuff. It's going to be cooler.
Yeah.
But then by the end, because he's engaging with the host who has the ulterior motive of basically exposing the grifter and eventually correcting his face, whatever.
You know, as one does.
Correcting your face is a great line, by the way.
Yeah. We get to the, at some point in the, toward the climax there, the reveal that, it actually did, there was some legit tech in Holly, and that is where we can get the dreaded algorithm.
Yeah.
And then we can get some good old fashioned social commentary, into the mix here, which will add maybe some meat to the story.
So he's saying, like, no, it's a Furby, and then by the end, the podcaster gets him to be like, okay, but there actually is this element, so that is where there is, where possibly it could have fucked up.
Yeah, it could have fucked up, and maybe it was his fault. But it builds its database based on what you're asking it, and then it tries to pick the responses that will boost engagement. You gotta love that, right?
You gotta boost engagement.
Gotta keep that engagement.
Look, he's a Silicon Valley bro type. You break it first and fix it later.
Can I tell you guys now what I thought was wrong?
Okay.
Go ahead.
I guess.
Wow. I thought I had two problems. first problem is that it's a frequent problem I have, which is when I finish something, I think it's good, I send it out, I get feedback, and I'm like, oh shit, and I correct to the feedback, and then suddenly, because I'm a different person than I was the first time I wrote the story, I have kind of two stories going on, and they mesh very poorly in the middle. Or wherever it is I changed. This is something that bothers me a lot that I do. To the point where I'm like this close to being like, you know what? If I fuck it up the first time, if it's not right, and I agree that it's not right, like if this just was not ready for prime time, I can work on it, but it is unlikely it will ever get to a point that it's saleable. And so I've just started being like, you know what? Time to trunk this and move on to the next thing. I can reuse the ideas. I can reuse sentences. I can reuse a lot of stuff, but it's not going to be that story again. Spending more time on it is honestly a waste. I've had to learn that over many years and a lot of trunked stories. So that was problem one. Problem two is that I started the story based on a cool thing, which was larceny by trick. I thought that was really cool, and I thought I could do it with robots. The idea being, okay, so you have, what if you do this, and you switch it around, because it's really fucking easy to do with robots.
Yeah.
At this stage in development. And I happen to know a lot about, the stuff that robots are capable of right now. The robot, as I described, is both very, very doable, and also I would be deeply surprised if somebody hasn't already done it.
Has been done.
Yeah.
Quasi the robot CMU.
Well, I was also basing it partially, you guys don't know this because I didn't describe it exactly, but in my head, it's based on the Riti robot, which is a French robot, which has it's a cute little body, it has a cute little alien head, it has touchable skin that will change colors based on its reactions, and it has eyes that move, and its lips move, the whole thing, and it's supposed to be a companion bot.
Can I just say that in my head it looked vaguely like Baymax from Big Hero 6?
That works. That's fine. That's fine. Because the idea is that you're not supposed to really, I did not want to hamper anybody in that regard. But in the course of writing, I ended up putting a lot of different ideas in there. There's larceny by trick. There's here's how to actually do this kind of robot and do this kind of trick. Here's the Kuleshov effect. And there was one other one. I forget what it is, because God forbid I reread my own stuff. But it was, basically I felt one of my problems was I was serving too many masters in terms of tying together ideas.
Interestingly, this ties into something I was gonna say earlier. Because I liked Brendan's thing about using who's at fault as part of the shell game. Because then that explains why the story is called Shell Game, instead of, say, Larceny by Trick, or Kuleshov Effect.
Guys, it started out being called Larceny by Trick.
But like you said, you have too much going on. Which is why I'm like, why isn't it called these other things that are clearly also important? You didn't prioritize properly.
I did not.
Yeah.
Well, and that was part of the writing process, because I started in one thing. As I was writing it, I developed these other things, and then I didn't let go of the impetus. You know? Another thing I discovered long ago is that I will continually try to write stories that involve a climactic, what's that fight that the Spartans did?
Thermopylae?
It's the Battle of Thermopylae. I really like the mental visual of, few people, small space, defending against horde. You can do a lot of cool stuff with that. I keep trying to put it in stories. I am never able to. Ever. So I have learned to let it go. I aim towards it, and then something else happens, and then I'm like, okay, you know what? Today's not this day. But I didn't let go of my impetus here.
Yeah.
And instead, I just kept trying to figure out twisty, clever ways of keeping it. Except that is a mess.
Also, the actual shell game with robots is about us and dynamics showing off the robots dancing, and then a few weeks later, seeing the the Robo Dog.
Yep.
Yeah. The ethics of robotics is the shell games. Who is building what for who and why?
Yeah.
Is it for the good? Is it a fun little toy? Is it a military contract? It's all about them ethics, baby.
What?
It's all about it's about ethics in games journalism. Wait, no, it's not.
Oh no. Oh.
I was going to make a similar joke.
Sideswipe right into there.
It's about ethics and roboticism. Yeah.
Holy shit. And ethics and roboticism is actually a huge fucking topic that everyone's looking at, but no one is addressing adequately. Even though the need is there, industry's asking for it, because, among other things, because possibly people believe it's important, but also because their investors want to have that little ticky box that says, yes, we are definitely working on making sure that the robots will not kill us.
Yeah. This is morally sound.
Exactly.
Yeah. And no one's really teaching it.
No. CMU is the closest. CMU is the closest. I'll say that, Brun. Yeah. But it is... so go on.
I think tying it back to the story...
What?
I think it'd be a good point of discovery to really reveal over the course of the short story that, at the end of the day, he has some part to play in the Holly murders.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even if he didn't intend it.
Well, and that's part of it. You have to know what you're... with robotics, you have to be able to future cast all the ways this could go badly.
Yeah. Consequences for my actions?
And the thing is, that could be the sin of our grifter, is that he didn't think about the consequences or ethics about any of what he was doing with this robot. Mm-hmm. He's like, I just had an algorithm search the internet to provide you more optimal responses. It's all keyword based.
And even if it is just a Furby, mm-hmm. he sold a bill of goods. He did sell a bill of goods. That is knowingly and willingly.
Mm-hmm. To a medical organization.
Oh, so
he can say this is not a medical device, but he licensed it to them.
Is it clear in the story that it's a medical company?
I thought it was just a tech company.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Surprise.
Well, there's
Alpha
a problem.
Medical. Yeah. I would change the name of the company to, like, Alpha Medical or something.
Yeah, no, you're correct. You are absolutely correct. Fuck. Motherfucker.
Oh, man.
Fuck.
Like, it's called Advanatech, not like Advanimed or Advanigen.
God damn it.
Also, Advana is really hard to say.
It is very hard to say, but it seemed very tech bro. Because it's also tech bros all the way down. They're all complicit. Well, that's one of my personal pet peeves, as it were, is that, one could assume that if you invent the car, shit's gonna get run over. Okay? That is that is definitely a thing that's gonna happen. You can start thinking about the future casting for that. So maybe we need to start developing, I don't know, speed limits. That's personal safety. that comes much later. But speed limits were one of the earliest things, regulations that came in. Followed by, taximeters. So that people could not be overcharged. Strangely could, anyway, point is, that's the history of British taxis. But I feel that robots end up being a weird little thing over here on the side. Because, one, let's look at the derivation of the word is Czech for worker. We are specifically developing robots that are intended to look like people. And so, what does it say about us if we are creating things that look like people that we are allowed to treat not like people? We have made ourselves our own slave caste, which I realize is also Blade Runner. But
and not addressed in the story.
Yeah, that's not the point of the story.
No, it's not the point of the story, but that's where the back of my brain ethics, I feel like roboticists have to have a bigger share of ethical consideration.
Oh yeah.
Because that's the next goddamn step. It's way too easy to hit that moment.
Well, there's a, like, weird difference between, like, the tech bros and the tech makers that I've seen a lot.
Yep.
Speak more on that.
And let's use an example. Musk and Tesla. A bunch
None of us work for him, right? Good. Okay,
no.
No. A lot of people worked on the way the Tesla car charges.
Mm-hmm.
Musk has his name on the patent. What he designed was a clasping mechanism. Essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm kind of like...
He's an ideas man, which is great, but...
He's not also like a salesman.
Yeah.
It's the grift.
Yeah.
Haha.
He, like a lot of tech bros, he's essentially in it to make himself more money.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Whereas a lot of the people who work in these tech companies are in it to make a thing that can be improved upon, and try to make a thing to improve upon it.
And also trying to live within a capitalist hellscape.
Yes.
That too. But, like, also, hey, I want to make cool things. Hey, I made a cool thing. Wait, what? You're using it for what?
The applications, no! Yeah.
Because, like, I think one thing that our grifter character could be focusing on as a defense, like, it's not meant to be a medical device. It wasn't meant to be a caretaker for, like, you know, trying to actually replace therapy or anything like that. It's not a therapeutic. It's a companion. I don't know. I was just trying to think of that angle.
It's a toy.
Yeah.
Well, yes, but he sold it to a medical company.
Yep.
As we've learned in this podcast.
God damn it. As you can see, I have multiple problems here.
I do want to say one other practical thing.
What?
I know. Cut the first line, thanks for agreeing to the interview.
I actually added that later because I wanted to imply that this is unedited.
Here's the thing. It's a partial transcript. It should start in media res.
Yeah.
Okay. I got you.
Like, who knows? Maybe this is like starting to wrap up towards the end of the interview.
This might be a weird, totally minor note with the title. Could we have partial transcript be within square brackets, like it's like that little sick notation?
Sure. I don't care about that. Not a problem. It's done.
That way it doesn't read like the title of this short story is partial transcript, subtitle, Shell Game.
That is the title of the short story.
To me, it reads like you accidentally left something in.
God damn it. Okay. See, what I find interesting about this entire process, all of you, is that this is the importance of, 1, listening to your editors, 2, getting outside readers, and so on and so forth. Because, 1, authors are full of shit.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm sitting here being like, I'm pretty sure I know what the problem is, guys. And meanwhile, you guys are like, you did not even mention that it's a medical company.
That is a very real problem that you do need to fix, but I want to point out...
I think I'm also right about my thing. It's just not at all the entirety of the matter.
Here's the thing. We're not necessarily right either.
So true.
Which is why you editing things to fit what feedback you got is wild to me.
Here's the thing. I do not do it all the time. What I saw is that they were correct about my issue.
But did you try to use the correction they gave?
Oh no, I added my own shit. They didn't, no. Their problem is that this person's too unlikable. I kept all of his dialogue. I possibly made him more unlikable.
Oh no.
Well, because I'm like, well, that's the point of the character. So, but I added other stuff, to try to balance it out.
You tried to Kalashnikov, you tried to add context to, increase or decrease his likability.
Yes, actually.
Okay, here's what we can do. Okay.
Okay.
We can keep this, grifter his same asshole grifter self. We just have to have the interviewer be more likable. So it's a much more, it's a conversation style podcast, which is the style of the times, rather than pure like serial. That's old news. We're doing
it's very
new
old,
stuff.
actually. Yeah.
So they're having a conversation and we're kind of like, as the audience, we're like, oh yeah, we're liking this interviewer. And then we're kind of getting more information about this, Holly device, which is, fake and may have been involved in this series of gruesome murders and fires and whatever. But here's the thing.
And we're on the side of the reporter too.
Yeah, we're on the side of the reporter. But here's the thing. People who are on the side of the reporter clearly did not pay attention to the title of the short story because the title of the short story is a shell game.
Shell game.
You should have been paying attention to the P. Where's the P? Oh, it was with the interviewer because they're the murderer.
Hey, it's the P. It's the podcaster.
Christ.
Yep.
Anyway, but yes.
So, want to know what I
yeah, actually, can we go into, bearing in mind that, as I've already said, I frequently will just take stories and be like, well, that's fucked, and toss it out a window. Let's pretend I'm not going to. Let's pretend I'm not going to this time. So, we're coming up. What would you guys, what's the one thing I'm asking you to pick among the many?
Oh, but I said so much.
What's like the first thing you would suggest that I fix or change, whichever. It could be something that works totally fine now, but you're like, you know what? To get all the other elements in place, we're going to change it.
I'd want you to read aloud, what the, inventor's, side of the story. And just like, I just want you to read aloud the inventor's dialogue.
So actually, I'm going to push back on that tiny bit. I think you are correct, but not me. And that's because I already know how he's supposed to sound. Yeah. I know where all the pauses are. I know, and that's the difficulty with a dialogue only piece.
Yeah.
Is that you can't do any, funny stuff with, putting in tags here and there or descriptions to create the pauses that you want or what have you.
I'm going to push back at you.
Ooh.
Oh my god,
have you actually read it out loud yourself?
Yes.
Or have you read it out loud in your head?
Maybe both. You bitch. Okay, now I love you very much. Thank you very much. I feel like I did. I'm pretty sure I did. I've done, but I may not have done the entire story. I think I've done portions of each of their speeches, and it may have only been in that first draft.
And was it before or after you edited? Yeah.
See, I think that was definitely before I edited it.
I'd actually get Bren to do it because Bren, you can talk tech, bro.
Actually, I often have a robot. Hey. Bro, I actually often have, I have one of those old school Kindles. So I have the robot read it.
You need to have the grifter inflection, I feel. Because no problem, kid, no problem. Thanks for coming by.
And that's the voice in my head. That's why I can't do the reading.
One of these days, we'll get on Zoom. Bren will be the grifter. I'll be the murderer as
Wait, what?
It was always meant to be. You can listen as the author. Alex can listen as an outsider. How about that?
I'll have to wear sunglasses.
I mean, I understand that you need props for your character work.
To be fair, I do need you. Actually, I do want you to be wearing glasses, but like large aviator ones, and I do want there to be a joviality to you.
Can you get him fake mustache in time?
In time, certainly. I have the spirit gum here already, guys.
Not you, Brendan.
I could get him the spirit gum easily, guys.
He can grow Brendan, you can grow a mustache in about a day.
A grifter mustache?
Oh.
That's a good point. That's a tough sell. But also, I feel like I should maybe tell you guys right off the bat. My initial market that I was looking at this for, was, was a podcast market, was a podcast fiction market. So I anticipated there being an actor who could do my work for me.
Well, we've learned that lesson, haven't we?
We have learned a very important lesson now. Okay, so, but Alex, I see your point and I see everybody else's point. I just don't think it should be me.
Yeah.
I mean, it could start with you.
I mean, yeah,
because you know how it's supposed to sound. And if it still doesn't when it's coming out of your mouth.
I would disagree, Pep, because I think there's value in a cold reading.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is why frequently, actually, as you guys may recall, usually we have one or the other of us read off, like, the samples or what have you, if we do it in the podcast of our own work. Because otherwise we know our stuff.
Yeah, and Pip, isn't it in doesn't Vibe Paradise have everyone, like, have people, like, swap stories to read off? Or is that, I'm thinking a different, or I'm thinking of a different thing?
I mean, people read each other's stories for critique.
I had a playwriting class where the playwright was not allowed to be part of it, but the plays were read out loud by other members of the cast. So they had to depend of the class. And so they had to depend on your directions and also, frankly, the sweep of the story to understand what they should be saying. Or the inflection of what they should be saying, which is why I was very proud of the time that, like, one of the other students got an inflection perfect. And I'm like, oh shit, I did it right.
Haha. Yeah.
Because she got it. It was like, oh, goddamn.
Yeah.
But.
Also, the first one, I'd like it to be the welcome. No, I'd like it to be welcome back, listener. Whereas we're here with create inventor, isn't it? And can you tell me a little bit about Holly? You know.
How dare you give two suggestions?
I agree with that completely, and the reason why.
Yeah.
Is that it's something
radio.
What's that?
I thought that sounded too radio. Am I wrong?
Podcasts want to be radio.
All right, fair enough. Oh, we have ad breaks now.
Yeah.
Hey, guys.
We're back from the ad.
Here's the thing. I disagree with that.
No, can I finish?
Helpful.
You may finish.
Can he finish, Pippin?
Because here's the thing that comes up in improv scenes all the time is that it's awkward, but you want to get your who, what, where out of the way as quickly as possible so that the audience has something to ground themselves on. Who are these two people who are talking? Mm-hmm. Because I don't think you ever actually name your protagonist here, do you?
And actually that has been also brought up. Somebody said, well, what's the guy's name? And I'm like, I don't know, it's not really important.
It helps us anchor. It helps us anchor the characters, and it builds itself. It's awkward as hell, but you know what? You have that line there. You get it done. I think, the back from the ad break is fine. It could just be, in some podcasts you do like the informative segment and then you have an ad break and then you go to the interview. So that's something you could do. Yeah.
And thanks to Casper Mattress.
Yeah.
For sponsoring this episode.
And MeUndies. I'm wearing a pair of MeUndies now. How about you, Bob? Owner of Holly. How do you feel about MeUndies?
Like, what is his name? What is the original startup company's name? I don't think that's mentioned.
Nope.
The medical company it's hard to think of, but it's really important.
What? It's almost like I have to actually do work.
It's world building.
Fuck. Okay. All right. What's Pippin's disagreement to this fucking plan?
That's treating it like this is actually a real podcast and not a ruse.
Well, yeah. Oh, but I wouldn't actually say Casper Mattress or shit like that.
No, but if he says, welcome back from the ad break, once he's in the door, that falls to the wayside.
Well, why is he still doing the interview then?
Yeah, could have just murdered him right at the start.
Yeah.
He wants to...
because he needs him to admit what he's done wrong.
Yeah, and that's why he's doing the ruse.
Yeah, it's all a ruse.
And to be fair, I'm going to put this out. Yeah, I want to see whether or not you guys ping on this for this. The guy who is the number one shell game operator in America currently, which I heard about on a podcast, Criminal. He teaches law enforcement how to be part of this, figure out this game and see when it's happening. And one of the things he teaches them is that there's only one person who's ever getting conned. It's the person playing. Everybody else is in on it. So, if you look around and you're part of this thing and you're like, well, I'm not a criminal, then you're the one being conned.
Yeah.
I feel, it's like, that's where you gotta take that step back. So I wonder whether or not there's an element of that can be used here.
So an accomplice?
No, it's more like, if you,
it's the entire set dressing of the room is all
exactly.
in service to the shell game.
Exactly. And if you're not part of the podcaster's grand murder plan, then you're the victim.
So, yeah.
So maybe I gotta, cause that would get back to like, why is this called shell game instead of something else?
Yes. So, I mean, yeah.
Alright, so are you done fighting amongst each other for Alex's 2 instead of 1 points?
Sorry.
Here could be a fun twist. Not twist, just to play into the shell game part, like you mentioned here. The interviewer doesn't actually introduce themselves. Mm-hmm. It's, our CEO tech bro, who kind of like, I don't know how you can fit this in. Maybe like, I got your email, Bob. And he goes, yes, I am Bob. I don't know.
No, it's definitely, it's like, let him identify you.
Or
You're not
something.
saying any lies.
I don't know.
Yeah. The other thing I thought of was, Alex, you mentioned really early on that you kind of wish that there was, material you could read.
Like, add a copy.
Well, what if there are some of the Hollies there?
Oh, yeah.
What if there's the official, there's his Holly and like, see, you can see it right here. And then our interviewer's like, hey, guess what I have? I also have a Holly. Would you like to see her? She wants to see you. And that's when shit starts getting like,
weird.
I'm sorry, that doesn't look like one of my Hollies. I modified her to fix her.
That would be fascinating.
You can have some fun with that, I think. Because then you could also, if you were feeling bold, I don't know how this would read or play out in the story format as is. You could have like things in square brackets again. You could have them, like the Hollies reacting to like foreshadowing keywords that are being said.
Oh shit. Actually, you know what? If this is a court transcript, which was kind of, of course there'd be, guys. God
Transcripts
damn it.
in general would have those.
Sound and fuck. Yep. Yep, you're
and
right.
then towards the end, you could have something labeled as Exhibit A.
Nice. I think I actually called partial transcript Exhibit A to start with. I'm like, no, that's tipping my hand too soon.
Yep.
It is.
But I could end, I could end the story, I could end it, end Exhibit A.
Like,
Exhibit B.
Or, this is a reproduction and copy of evidence in, or such and such.
Yeah, something, like,
found in discovery.
Ooh. Oh, Pippin, that brings you right back into your puns. See, this story was for you, Pippin, secretly.
Oh, so here's the thing. The thing one thing that I'd tell you to fix.
One. Yes.
Well,
or 2.
Here's the thing. You already mentioned fixing the reasoning behind the title, so
God
you gave me.
Son of a bitch.
But make this story less for me. Lean into the goddamn horror.
Yeah, Brendan's right. I should really kill off more people. The problem is that originally it was just a fire got started, so who's to blame? The podcaster was not coming for revenge. It was really, and I'm going to say this very plainly, it was really just a thought experiment, and it wasn't a real story. That's on me. You know what? We're learning every day, guys. We're learning every day, and we're getting better writing every day.
Oh.
Thank you. Oh, actually, that's, sometimes it does work when I get feedback and I actually go back. That happened with my most recent short story from Apex. Demon Fighter Sucks.
Nice plug.
Thank you. It did. It lacked a soul. It was just a neat concept, which is what this one started as. And so I went back to my personal well of like, okay, whenever I have to add feelings to things, what do I do? What's a good one? Parenting and children. That I go back to that over and over again because of reasons, who knows. And so I threw in like this subplot which gave the motivation for everything and gave it the heart and gave it the, and then is why it's so sad right now, and et cetera and so forth. So, I can do this. I don't have to throw it away, guys.
There we go.
Please don't. It's actually a really interesting concept.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to see
But if you fix it right, I will never read it again.
That's true. That's
Huzzah.
true. Whereas Brendan's like, yeah, fucking faces.
Yeah.
Cut them faces off.
I mean, you can still have the fire element, like he was trying to cover his tracks or something.
Yeah, I mean, that's valid.
Or that's just how things start sometimes.
Sometimes fires be happening.
But like, the gruesome note was that how, like, all the people, like, the remains never had faces. Weird.
Yeah, the fire was set to hide something, and as they were going through looking for anything, like, there was something else odd in there.
We found a holly.
Missing a face.
And then...
And they went through the conversation history.
Oh, yeah, because you all know these robots are just recording all your shit, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Every single one of them.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, I needed my robot for this conversation.
I unplugged mine.
Because I have not. It knows all my thoughts. Because it's very much a, it's metrics. It's, there's all sorts of nice reasons to think of something. And none of the, and by the way, here's how this could go terribly awry, which brings us right back to ethics. Right back to ethics.
So I thought of something else.
Uh-huh.
Pippin, is this a third thing?
Well, no, because I don't know how to fix it.
Okay. So just a problem. You're just bringing me back another problem.
Yes.
Go on. Okay. All right. Fine.
There is the character, the one named character, Chet. You have the one named character, Chet.
Haviland. Chet Haviland.
And it's clear that something happened. Mm-hmm. But it's too slow a roll. Because you mentioned that he is deceased. You mentioned later that it was quote unquote accident.
Yeah. Hey, you'll never guess what happened to him.
Yeah. But I feel like you didn't.
I should have mentioned his face was missing. Clearly, that was that.
Or even it's some sort of illusion. You didn't stick the landing on that one.
I didn't stick the landing. Yeah, but you caught what I like because of you, who you are as a person, and the fact that we do this fucking podcast and so on. You noticed that. Yes, I was attempting something there.
Now it's an accident.
Just like the fire was an accident. Just like there have been so many accidents.
Yeah,
because before it was all like, oh, this character now can't say his side of the story, so it's just these two people, or the company and the grifter, their conflicting stories, and not the person who was in the room.
Yeah, whereas it's actually our podcasters tracing backwards to see, who made Holly this way. Gotta fix them. Gotta fix them.
Holly told me to fix them.
It was so who does that to a robot? Makes them broken to start with? Come on.
Well, once we fix the people who broke Holly, cool, from there we can go on fixing everyone else.
Everybody else can get fixed then. We have
to start with this one problem, though.
Yeah,
that we know about.
Well, obviously, that's just good design work.
Yeah. But yeah, no, so that was another thing I noticed that you need to fix.
So, what was your fix again, though? Like the one thing?
I didn't have a fix, I just said, by the way.
So you just have a ton of Fine, Pippin.
It's a really great concept.
Thank you. That's my problem. I come up with good concepts, I'll say that. And then I can soft shoe with some fancy writing. But if you, poke at it at all, it pops. Thank you. So Pippin is deigning not to do this.
A line of one thing. It was a terrible accident. They found his, and then it's cut off. No, they haven't. No,
that could be anything. Like, have they found the will? But because it really depends on. Well, that's one of our things. Like, it's easy to shift the genre bar, and I don't remember when that line came up. If it comes too early, that's like, oh, is this a mystery?
Or even just the interviewer going, oh, I did meet Chet just before.
I actually we can listen to it later if you like.
Oh yeah.
Little ominous.
And that makes the reason he's a recording a trophy.
You're right.
Because he's a serial killer.
Yes.
And they keep trophies. Some of them.
Or at least this gives them an MO. Beyond just the face. And MOs can't be... This is a pet peeve that, I don't know if the listening audience knows about this, but certainly one that I think we picked up from our folks. The pet peeve of, you can't just have cool MOs. Like, ooh, and then he hangs himself from the ceiling before he can ejaculate on the woman. Here's the problem. That's from an actual movie, unfortunately.
Yeah, but...
Yeah, but the problem is MOs develop because it's a built-on process. It is a thing that, they needed to do, and that builds and builds and builds. But there's a core, like, this made sense to some degree to them.
He talked to Holly.
Exactly.
And that's how he learned.
That is how he learned.
And so he'll talk to him, learn, and then he'll fix him. Just like Holly.
Yeah, exactly. So this is, I think, a logical MO. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's an important thing for me. If you're gonna have wild and cool things, it's gotta have that tiny core of insane logic, but it is logic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, one thing I'd also change here, Kat.
Y'all are breaking all the rules. You know what? That sounds to me like somebody needs to get fixed.
No. Just I was looking at the end of the story here with the grand spiel by the interviewer.
Yeah, the big speech.
I would, instead of saying larceny by trick, I guess, I think I would just say, well, I guess it's just a shell game, Just to really, again, play into the shell game as the entire synthesis of the entire story. Like, this is like your final beat, the third beat of the herald, whatever. It's everything coming together in this speech, and it's all linking back to the title and maybe why the transcript is called Shell Game.
Also, maybe a line of like, when you crack open a Holly shell.
Oh. Actually, but I think I should also tie in that the Kuleshov effect is, in its essence, can be called a shell game of audience emotions.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
but I think I need to tie that better.
Can it?
Yeah, I would drop larceny by trick.
Yeah, see, I think I gotta let that go. That was a good impetus. It would, it got me to the story. But it's time to say goodnight.
Like, just maybe reference it once, since that's what he's being sued for, technically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but then go straight into the idea, but like what that is basically is XYZ.
A shell game.
The shell game. You know about a shell game, don't you? You know how to whistle, don't you?
But like,
you put two of Holly's lips together, and then you let someone else blow, and that's how you fix the robot.
And that's how he thinks he's bringing the kid into the grift. Like, no, I'll tell you all about the grift. That's why I can't be doing it.
See, which actually, that ties into my favorite, again, Penn and Teller. They do a shell game with clear plastic cups. So you can see every single exchange and change they make. But they are so incredibly talented that you're just like, well, shit, that's amazing. It's just pure artistry at that point.
Yeah.
You're not being tricked. You're seeing craft.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what he's trying to show. Because also, I feel like, grifters, yes, obviously are trying to do something, but I feel like there's also a certain level of narcissism or what have you involved in being like, it'd be really cool if somebody understood how fucking cool the thing I did was.
I mean, you understand, you know the tech.
You're one of the tech guys, right?
Yeah.
That's what the email said, right?
Yeah, it says so in the title of the podcast.
That's what that's what the podcast says, doesn't it? So, keep talking. I'm gonna go get my Holly. 1 second. Don't worry about it. Actually, guys.
He's self-taught. When he asks it.
Sorry. Yeah, he's self-taught. That's awesome. But I have a second thing, guys. I just made it creepier. I just made it creepier in my head. Pippin, are you ready for this?
God damn it. Okay.
Remember how I was like, oh, we gotta have a Holly, right? Okay, so the Holly in the room. But how does the interviewer bring in his Holly, right? Mm-hmm. Without, what's he gonna do? Put it under his fucking coat? She's gonna look weird, right? But that's okay. He fixed her all the way. And now he just carries her face.
Oh, in the coat?
Yeah, like in his pocket or something. It's like, cause it's like a silicone face.
Thanks,
he fixed
I hate it.
he fixed it. Like, here, I can show you my Holly.
Puts it on his face.
Fuck yes. Yes. So anyway, we ruined Pippin's night. We've ruined Pippin's night. But I was just trying to think, like, in the back of my brain while you guys were talking, I was trying to figure out, like, again, because I'm all about the, like, okay, what's the practical... Okay, shit, we gotta move... Okay, move this person. How did he get the robot? And I really like the idea. And then... Robot face.
Also, if it's Furby sized, then whatever podcasting equipment he would have brought for the ruse would be in a backpack.
That's true.
But if I'm it's not really Furby size. Again, it's in my head. It's the size of a Reedy, which is about 2 feet tall. It's you can put it on a table.
Yeah.
I love them. I think they're adorable. But other people have had reactions.
Yeah. Also, would it be too much to have the Grifter's Holly going and hey, warning sign, and hey, this guy is suspicious, but I lack the but I'm just an algorithm.
Actually,
I mean, I can't actually warn you.
I kind of love that though. If she's showing some concern and he's like, oh, and that can lead him into this is how this works. This is why, you know.
Well, if they're run off of an algorithm, then her algorithm's slowly changing through it.
Yep.
Yes. But that is also an entry point for him, for the grifter to be like, okay, maybe, yeah, like, this is why she's doing that. And then the podcaster being like, so you mean that there is actually something? He's like, fuck, you have me on tape. Fuck. That's why the tape's there also. Again, there's multiple levels to it, but it all makes the logical sense.
Yeah. All right.
Cool.
All right. Did we actually get to the end of it?
I think
did everybody say their things?
All in one way or another.
All 15 of our own separate things.
All 15 fucking things. Yeah.
Do we have a game for? You should have games for these.
Well, we usually do the title game, but I like my title. Okay. I think you guys really just wanted me to lean more into it.
Yeah.
But I want you to earn it.
Yeah.
Well,
I think Shell Game is a valid, like, you know, I think that it has enough of a... Although it is gonna... it is gonna fuck me up a little tiny bit, because I'm working on a different story that is also horror, that also has the word game in it. Fuck it, alright, whatever. Like, I can do whatever I want.
You can put it...
There.
You can put it into an anthology of a game of horrors.
Terrible horror games. Oh... Look, see, Alex, you're my marketing
bro. It's called
The
Games We Play.
Ooh.
There we go.
Ooh, nice.
Do we want to do any games?
Nah. I feel like the game was...
The entire episode.
Tell me one fucking thing, and then you guys fucked that up.
We did 15. Yeah.
Well, listen, I'll do the, that's a wrap for all of us. He goes to prison.
Hooray. Oh, yeah.
Or he's at large. And he's outside right now.
Fuck off. Fuck you.
Okay, guys. No. I will tell you right now, he is very close to the end of his viability as a serial killer. He is making too many mistakes and paying too much attention to his overall plan instead of, you know, whatever.
And also he's releasing it episodically on the internet.
Yeah,
in my version, he was already caught and I was fine.
Okay. Anyway.
Well, it is court evidence, so it's strongly
see?
Yes.
You're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
see, Pip, it's fixed. It's fixed. And don't worry about how many other bodies there might be.
Fuck off, I hate you all.
Or where all the other faces are.
Fuck you so much.
Did he eat them? I don't know. More importantly, are they inside the body of the Holly that's somewhere else? So anyway.
Yeah. That's the episode.
You know what this was, guys? I figured out what the game is. You know what the game was?
What?
It's our favorite cat fucks around, and you all find out.
There we go.
There we go.
It was a shell game after all.
It was a shell game all along. I tricked you all into playing my game.
Maybe the real shell game is the
podcast.
Oh, I hate everything.
Before we head out here, do we have anything to plug?
Yeah, I got a pile of things. I have as you guys know, assuming I actually send in all my stuff on time, so that's a separate story. I will be part of the Flash Fiction Online's 100th issue celebration. So that's going to involve an interview, with fascinating information about this very podcast. And plus, I believe I'm going to try to do a reading of the story that appeared there. So that's another horror thing, Pippin, so sorry for you. And then, I believe I'm going to be doing, when I get more information, I'll talk more about it, but I'm going to be doing a women's reading, thing. And then barring, I don't know, pandemics, but when does that ever happen? Should be a panelist at Worldcon this year.
Woo!
Or at least, I'm receiving the material to attempt it.
Hooray!
Close enough! More details as they come, but Worldcon, look it up. It's going to be in December. It's going to be in DC. And hopefully it'll actually still happen. Safely.
Hooray!
The end. That's mine for now.
And, I have my, online and in some cases in-person improv shows through my team. Select Start. Hey!
What?
And those are coming up at random times in the future. Look it up on social media. I'll post about it. I swear.
Sure. We'll make sure he does, listening audience. We'll make sure.
I make no such promises.
But listening audience, I don't, Brendan, do you ever share the link to, providing suggestions?
Never in time.
Cool. Well, if we can get him to do it, listening audience, if you follow Brendan on the social medias, like what, Twitter? You do it on Twitter, right?
Yeah, I do it on Twitter, do it on Facebook, do it on those things. That's like the only time I interact. Yeah.
But if you want to see Brendan do, frankly, or at least suggest that Brendan do, I think that your camp counselor character is a fucking plus.
It's almost like I was a camp counselor for 6 years.
Oh, and your seagull. Do you guys remember the seagull?
Fuck, I don't remember a seagull.
You did a great seagull. And I think that you ended the other character ended up like doing a life of crime. Like progressively. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah,
that was fucking great. Anyway, so Brendan does really great character work, and if you want to see him do something stupid, I suggest following him and filling in, if he can remember, the prompt suggestions. Just a Google form, and you can lie on it. So.
Huzzah. All right.
Twins?
Nope.
Yeah, twins.
Yeah, twins.
I'm just generally awesome.
Sure.
Pippin's an excellent librarian, and I bet if you sent her a reference question or ask her, are citations important on social media?
Citation needed.
Oh, I bet she would be happy to tell you just how not important they are. Right, Pippin?
Why are you so determined to make me mad right now?
Hey, Pippin, where were all those faces?
And Al?
Nope.
I'll get you someday. I'll find your spot.
Tweet at him some questions about the upcoming Metroid game. That'll be a good conversation starter.
About how about how Majora's Mask is actually not that good.
Ooh.
Yeah, you should definitely tweet him about that. And Pippin.
Alex, I did have a Majora's Mask question for you later after the podcast.
Ask me right now.
Listen, I just want
no.
credit for guessing the game correctly. One that I think Alex thinks is really good. And I just want credit, okay? I want credit.
That's because I sent a text of my new Majora's Mask face mask, and Pip named it in the chat.
No, also because you made me watch that how-to video of that guy who made his own Majora's Mask.
Oh, yeah, that.
Yeah, so there you go. See? All right.
I would not keep Majora's Mask in my home. Yeah, let's keep going.
It was really good.
In conclusion.
Yes.
That was Kat's original story. And as always, if you have an idea or a prompt to submit, head on over to nostorysacred.com/submission. You can follow us on Twitter at nostorysacred or send an email through contact@nostorysacred.com. Your hosts have been Alex McDonald, Brendan McDonald, Pippin McDonald, and Catherine Crichton. Editing for this episode done by Brendan. Transcript done by Ashley DaCosta. Art by Jay Wolf. Yes. Show notes and transcript are available at nostoryissacred.com. Thanks for listening, everyone, and please rate, review, and subscribe to No Story is Sacred. You can visit our Patreon page to support the show and get neat rewards at patreon.com/nostoryiссacred. See you next time when we talk about Labyrinth. Until then, where no story is sacred, and any story can be changed. I'm Brendan.
I'm Pippin.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Kat.
And we're
No Story is Sacred.